getting this award of the National Teaching Fellowship is, well, it's just been fantastic. And I'm absolutely delighted to get the award, of course. It's always great to have your work recognised by your peers, and to have sort of 3 independent experts from higher education making that judgment on your work is fantastic. But I think it is a testament to the central importance of person-centered care in medical education. So this idea of tailoring care to the individual patient, the empathy that's required to make realistic connections and empathic connections with patients, and also the importance of the patient voice. So those have been my sort of missions, that's hopefully come across in my submission. So I think that's what it means to me. So the impact of the award to me is that it gives me the confidence to really drive forward my work on patient-centered communication and on the use of narratives in higher medical education, with even more conviction and energy, if you like. And it also has the process of going through the submission has made me clarify what my key values and drivers are, which underpin my education work, and that really helps me to focus my future efforts in education. What does it mean for students? Well, I think that this whole process has highlighted the importance of keeping a really close eye on the impact of my teaching and my educational practice. So I think the difference it'll make for students, hopefully, is that I will have the question, what difference is this really making to students and to learners at the forefront of my mind as I design things and deliver things? I think it also validates for students the emphasis we put on person-centered communication in undergraduate medical education. It's not always sexy, if you like, when you're dealing in sort of hard science and medicine, to talk about the softer skills of communication. But I think this award shows students that actually this is crucial. This is the glue that holds it all together, and it's important. And then for colleagues, I think this award, I mean, as always, these awards always reflect a lot of teamwork, and I hope my colleagues will also recognise the validation that the award gives to our collective efforts to improve clinical communication between doctors and patients, promote empathy, and promote the patient voice in undergraduate medical education. So if I had to say what epitomizes teaching excellence for me, I think it's about putting learners at the front and center of all one's teaching. So focusing on their needs rather than yours, and what they really need to learn, not what you think they need to learn. So the best teachers are very learner focused. I think there's also, I have a real passion about making authentic connections with learners and communicating in an engaging way. So I think when I see teachers who are clearly engaging their audience and connecting authentically, I think that's what excellence looks like to me. I think then there's something about getting an honest evaluation of the impact of your teaching and responding to constructive feedback. And then finally, this business of keeping up to date, not only with your field of study, but also in sort of education terms, and thinking outside the box from time to time. So I plan to maximize the impact of this teaching fellowship by continuing to champion the patient's voice, inspiring the next generation of healthcare professionals, hopefully. But I think it's I think the way to maximize it for me, having been awarded the fellowship, is focusing on the clear areas that I've highlighted in my submission, if you like. It's forced me to think clearly about what are the values and the real focus for my work. So for me, that'll be focusing on narrative and patient-centered communication. Specifically, I want to keep working and expanding and developing a podcast I developed, which was promoting communication skills in clinical settings. And I think I'd like to develop that and make it more widely available, think of new topics, jazz it up a bit, and then be more proactive in promoting narratives in higher education amongst faculty and students with training and writing. And I think finally something around networking, using my network of fellow National Teaching Fellows, hopefully to make new exciting connections. So in terms of any advice to prospective NTFs, my first bit of advice would be listen to your Teaching Excellence Award lead, your TEAL, or their equivalent. I mean, I learned so much from colleagues at the Queen Mary Academy at Queen Mary University of London, learned so much from them through this process. Not just about how to submit a meaningful application and gather evidence and so on, but it's really fed into how I think about my own education, my own practice. So listen to them. They've got a lot of experience. I think then identify the golden thread, if you like, or the main theme or story that runs through all your teaching. And this can take a bit more effort than maybe you were thinking. It took me quite a long time to try and work out exactly where that golden thread lies, what makes real sense and holds everything together. But once you've done it, it makes life so much easier to have that clear. I think try not to cram in too many examples into your submission. Better to focus on fewer examples, but in more depth. So you've got real quality there, real chance to show about the impact and the value and the reach of your work. And I think then think very carefully about the evidence you provide around impact, reach, and value. It seems to be best if you can provide a mix of qualitative evidence. So, for example, student or colleague testimonials or impact on practice, and the quantitative, so assessment scores, attendance, listener, viewer figures, things like that. Not too much of one or the other, a nice mix. And I think the first step in that is to be sure that you're clear on what impact, reach, and value really mean and how they're different. That certainly took me a while to get straight, but worth the effort. And then finally, try and avoid the cliches, the words like passionate and so on, which I find it's very difficult to think of ways to capture how you feel about it when you are passionate. But it's got to stand out from other people's applications. And so I think trying to avoid those old tropes and phrases would probably be good advice.